We're in the education room and there's quite a few of us. We're anxious to get started and hear what you have to say today, Brendan.
Brendan,
All
this
right.
is Brendan, it's Tree. We're not quite ready yet, so if you could just hang for one
Not
sec.
a problem. Not a problem.
Okay, this is Tree, and I think we're ready to start, Brendan. But before we start, we have two rooms of people. I'm in here in the community room. We have the education room. And I just want to reiterate something for the education room attendees. This training is going to be recorded, so everything Brendan is showing you and speaking about will be recorded for reference later. You can go back and watch it. And I strongly encourage you to watch the screen and listen to what he's saying. If you're trying to take too many notes, you'll look down and you might miss something. This is a really instinctive program. Very efficient, has many things that it can do. We're just learning really the basics. And as we go through this for the next several months, we'll tweak things, we'll maybe change our processes to work in the new software. So it's really, really good software. Brendan is a great teacher. just sit back and kind of listen. This training is for an hour. Again, it will be recorded. We will stay muted. The education room will stay muted unless there is a question, and then you can jump on. We have a few callers that are calling in from other areas in the country, so welcome to the people who have called in. And Brendan, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you. This is the home health intake and scheduling training, day one.
All right. Well, for those of you who have not met me, my name's Brendan Cole. I'm an RN and implementation manager with Care Efficient. So I'm going to go over the typical intake process as far as what needs to be done in Care Efficient. And just like Tree was saying, there may be some adjustments, and you guys may have other tasks that I'm not aware of. So after I go through a normal admission process, if you guys have any questions or need more direction, just let me know. All right, so when you log into Care Efficient, you are going to have, of course, you're going to be landed on your home screen. It's going to be the same for everybody, even if you don't see patients out in the field. There's a couple places you can add a referral. Right here to the left, there's a place that says Add Referral Patient. You can click that link. You can also go to the patient menu up at the top and go to the patient encounter, Add Referral Patient up here at the top. This is how you're going to put a brand new patient in the system. Either link is going to take you to the exact same place. And hi, JP. It looks like JP's joined with us, too.
Good morning.
Hey, we're going over some intake processes and scheduling. So
Okay.
you're going to pick your agency, and I'm going to just use the training agency, home health training agency for this. When you switch it to that agency, the only agency type that's set up for the home health is a home health, so this will default to home health. Before I move forward, anything with an orange asterisk is required information to move forward. Anything without is additional information you can enter at a later time. And I'll kind of go through this. You do need to enter a referral source. If you click the little drop down, all the most recent used referral sources will be in here. If it's not in the list, you can hit Find Referral Source, and then you can do a search. You're going to either search for the first or last name or the facility or referral company name. Don't use both fields because you're probably not going to get any results back. Or you can leave it blank and hit search, and then every referral source that's in there in your settings and the resources menu will show up. Okay? If it's not available, there is the option, if you have security permissions to do this, there is the option to add a new referral source. Just be careful if you do this that you're not duplicating one of these referral sources that are in here already. I'm going to just go ahead and use one of these as a referral source. You will get a little bit of a referral history once you pick that referral source. It'll show you how many admits and non-admits you've gotten from this source for the last 30, 60, 90 days. Just a little snapshot to kind of see how productive this referral source is. You could choose method of delivery if you got this via phone, fax, email, or in person. You don't have to answer these ones again, but it's good to help keep track of that. And if they did come from a facility and there may have been a case manager working with that patient at that facility, you can enter that information here. And again, you can add the referral source contact as well. Again, it's going to help with coordination of care in case you need to contact that facility to get follow-up information later. You're going to want to choose your payer category, and we'll just use Medicare for this example. The date of the referral, and if there's a request to start a care, you can go ahead and enter that date now. And it will flow, if you do enter the request to start a care date, it will flow to different areas, and I'll point those out as we get there. If you already know the admission source and admission type, you can enter that now. It does need to be answered at some point. You know, for Medicare payers, for the PDGM, they do need the admission source and admission type. So I'll just go ahead and answer that. And again, you can answer this at a later time if needed, and I'll show you where. If you already know what disciplines are involved, you can go ahead and start clicking on the disciplines that are going to be taking care of this patient. If, you know, a lot of times you'll get a referral and they'll just say admit to home health. You don't know what disciplines they need, whatever. There's a way to add the other disciplines at a later time. So if skilled nursing was the only one you knew of, you could just click on that and add skilled nursing, and I'll show you how you guys can add these other ones at a later time if needed. At this point, you could decline the referral if you find out that you don't accept that payment source. But otherwise, you're going to just leave it defaulted to continue referral and hit save and continue. You can search for the face-to-face physician here. You don't have to do that right now. And then you're also going to search for the patient name. All you need here is any of these fields. So you can have their first and last name, date of birth, medical record number. The patient ID number is actually the payer number. You could search for the patient. What the care physician is going to do first is see if this patient has been on service before, and if it has, it'll give you the opportunity to admit that patient. So the first thing we're going to do is search for the patient. You're going to get a list, and it's going to highlight everything that does match. And you can see the first and last name here matches, date of birth, etc. If this patient was a readmit or had been on service before and is in a discharge status, you'll actually get a checkbox next to their name, and you'll be able to check that box and then readmit that patient. So it'll carry over, the same medical record number. It'll carry over all the basic demographics, and then it gives you the option if you want to use the same physicians and other useful information from the old encounter. If it's going to match, you could pull all that over, so it does save on data entry. If you did readmit a patient, you, again, hit the checkbox and then come down right underneath it and hit continue, and that will give you the option to readmit that patient. If it's not a patient that existed before, you're going to move down here to the second section down here where it says or add a new patient, and then you're going to, again, enter at least the orange asterisk. The rest of this can be entered at a later time, but if you know it, go ahead and start entering in that information, because this will just keep carrying over and you don't have to enter it again later. It's going to bring you to the contact info. This is just like the contact tab in a patient encounter, and this is where the information is going to flow. You'll go ahead and enter their address and phone number. On their phone numbers, even if they only have one phone number, you can add as many as you want. But next to, even if it's just the one, go ahead and put a checkbox next to preferred so that this number flows to the different reports like the disaster plan, and you'll be able to see it easier in the patient encounter. And then hit save. At this point, you do have the time to enter additional contacts for the patient, such as next of kin, family members, power of attorneys, anybody that you guys want to keep track. You have that opportunity to enter it now, or you can, again, enter it on the Contacts tab anytime in the future. Just hit Continue, and then it's going to bring you in here. It will show you the primary physician. You have the chance to change that here. You can identify whether or not it's attending, certifying, not for billing. Now, on this referral order, there are no orange asterisks, but you do, under physician orders, you do want to write something in here. So even if you've got a faxed referral, you can either duplicate that information here or just say, see uploaded referral, something like that, but you do have to have verbiage here. Now, for the PDGM, to be able to drop those wraps in a timely manner, a couple things can happen. You either need to have a verbal order date and a nurse's signature here on the referral order, which can be entered later, or the 485 needs to be, the patient needs to be activated so that the 485 is initiated, and then the clinician can sign and date that order. one of these two have to be signed so that the PDGM, the RAPS will drop. And then the other ingredient is the first visit needs to be verified, that first billable visit. So those are the ingredients. So the signature can be added here, or it can be added on the 485, and it can be added here at a later time if needed. If you have surgical procedures you want to enter in here, nutritional requirements, you can enter all of this information, but this will not flow anywhere than the referral tab. So you can fill that out as appropriate as you need to. Gives you another opportunity to choose your disciplines here. And then on the skills required, you can identify if this patient has a certain skill, and it will notify the clinicians on the clinical tab in the encounter. And the other way that works is if you have a clinician that is also assigned these certain skills, when you go to assign those visits, it moves them to the top of the list. This isn't required, but you can enter that information here if needed. And then hit continue. Now it's going to bring you into the patient encounter. The next step would be to come up here and schedule that initial service. So by the patient's name, click on the schedule initial service link. Now your disciplines here are going to pull from that referral. So you're going to have the skilled nurse and PT that I checked off on the referral available here. You can still add OT, ST, MSW if needed after you activate the patient. But if you need them when you schedule the initial services, you'll have to correct it on the referral to get it available here. Choose the exact date that they're actually going to go. We'll say skilled nursing is going to go today and PT will go tomorrow. And then just hit save. And you can put any date you want there. You can future date it if you're going to admit them on a Monday and you get the referral on a Friday, whatever you guys need to do, you can future date that if needed. Once you do the schedule initial services link, you won't get that link back unless we cancel those services on the calendar. So just be aware of that. So you're going to click on the scheduling link. It will be available the first time that you guys are going to do assign those initial assessment services. However, once you assign these services, that scheduling link will disappear until you add a payer. So just be aware of that, and I'll show you here in a second. So I'm going to go ahead and just assign this to the clinical trainer. I'm going to have to hit override availability check for some reason, but you guys shouldn't have to do that. It's pretty much because my area is not set up for the clinical trainer. So you'll check the checkbox there and then hit save, and that will assign that visit to that clinician. And you can go ahead and do the same for therapy. And that gets them on their schedule. Now that's the basic first part of the entering that referral. The rest of it, the nurse out in the field is going to be the one that actually activates the patient, or it's recommended that they're the ones that do it, because you can activate them here, but if you were to activate them today and then for some reason the patient didn't get discharged from the hospital like they were supposed to, they're not home, you'd have to do a lot of corrections. So if you were to activate them here and then it ends up being tomorrow, you'd have to come in here to the profile tab and edit the start of care date. And then if the patient was also activated, it's going to initiate a 485, and that 485 is going to be based off that start of care date as well. And so if all of that's not corrected prior to doing scheduling and writing additional orders, we'd have to go through development to actually get that corrected. You'll have the ability to change it until you write additional orders. So it needs to be caught. So if you let the nurse out in the field or the therapist that's going to do the start of care, if you let them activate the patient, then you know your start of care date's going to be correct. So that's why we recommend to do that way. The other things you may do on intake, under the Documents tab, if you did have a referral that came over on the fax, you may want to, and any other documentation, doctor visit notes, hospital records, anything that you guys received for this referral, they would need to be scanned into your computer, and then you could choose Upload Document. When you hit Choose File, it'll give you a little Windows Navigator pop-up so that you can find that file on your computer. You'll just click it, hit Open, and then you'll see the name of the file right here where it says No File Chosen. I recommend leaving this attached to it, leave this default where it defaults to Encounter, because pretty much, every time you discharge and readmit, you're going to start off with all new paperwork, all new documentation. Everything's going to start from scratch, consents and agreements, everything. You do have the ability to switch it to patient, and then if, you discharged and readmitted that patient and you came over here to this filter and chose patient, then that would carry through every single encounter that this patient, that this guy's had with your agency. And there may be certain documents that you guys want that to do to carry over, but again, most of the time it's going to be all new stuff every time. So, but that's the two options you have there. The document type, these are adjustable in the settings, lookup tables if you need different labels, but these are the labels that are in there now. And you can just assign a label to it. And the document status, you're pretty much going to just always say no action needed. Some of these are going to be automated labels that may show up for other things, but you would just pretty much choose no action needed. You could choose label and a description. You can add a note. You could hit upload and close this if this is your last file, but if you have additional files to upload, you can hit upload and add more, and then this same pop-up window will pop up, and you can hit choose file and then choose that next one. Now on your last file, always hit upload and close, because if you were to hit upload and add more, you do have some minimum information before you can move forward. So be sure and hit upload and close when you're done with that. And then just to view those documents, you'd be able to click on that document description, and then it will open that file or download it. And then you also have the option to download multiple files. So if you put a checkbox next to several files, you could download or view those. The other things you can do, you can add additional physicians from intake if you guys know other doctors are involved in that care. To do that, you can hit add physician, type in the first, last name, or both, hit search, and then you can find those additional physicians. Now, under the sequence, number 1 is your primary physician. So if you want this to be the primary physician, you would switch him to number 1. Otherwise, put it at number 2, or if you leave it blank, it'll actually just put it at number 2 anyway. Again, you can choose the physician type. And if you had, the doctor was not in here, and you had security permissions to enter physicians, you could also add the physician from here. Anytime you have additional physicians in here, you can also move their position by hitting that top button. It'll switch that primary physician. You guys can also enter that last facility stay prior to start of care. So if they were discharged from a facility, you can add that information here, and it's just for coordination of care, so the clinicians and everybody involved can see where they came from. Again, you do have the option to enter additional contacts or update the information on the for the patient. Of course, this does pull from that referral, but you can edit it or add additional information anytime you need to. If you notice that anything, misspelled, the date of birth was incorrect, any of that, just go to the Personal tab. You can hit Edit next to that information, and you can also correct that here. So that's the other thing. I don't know if you guys will be the ones on intake to enter payers as well, but if you guys are doing that, to add a payer, go to the Payers tab, click Add Payer, and then it's going to default this category based on what you chose in the referral. So if that was incorrect, you can switch this category here if needed. Then just click on the little green plus arrow and put the start of the, you can use the actual start of the payer start date for that patient. But no matter what, it has to be prior to the first billable visit, equal to or prior to the first billable visit. Otherwise, you won't be able to verify that service, and we'll have to come back here and correct this date. So some agencies will just use the start of care date. Some will use the actual payer date here. The bill to address is going to default from that payer. And you'll click the drop down and just choose that address. This is where you're going to enter their MBI number. And if it's an accident-related clause, you can enter that information here, and then the MSP information, if you needed to enter that, and then just hit save. And then you're going to see a couple different things. If there's nothing wrong, it'll be just a little green plus arrow. If there's any missing information, you can just click on these little red icons, and it'll take you to the where that information is missing, and it tells you right on that tab what information is missing. So I didn't get a patient identifier in there, and it's missing eligibility. Patient identifier, of course, goes right here. I can't really create a fake one, so I'm just going to leave that error. And then the eligibility, when you click on that, for Medicare, this is automatically going to be ran, and then you'll be able to view on the report. Once that report comes back, it'll show you the result description. If it's correct and it found it, and information all matched, it'll say done, found. If not, it'll tell you that it wasn't found, et cetera, and it may be because there may be a partial match, misspelled name, something like that. And then you'll just click on the result description to the right, and you'll actually be able to view the report. And then you'll end up needing to add the eligibility, so you'll click on the, you'll see the eligibility here. You'll click on the little edit pencil. After you've read the report, you'll say that they are eligible. Your Part A start date, Part B start dates will automatically pull from their report into here. You would just enter the date that you did verify that this was that they were eligible, and then you can type in any result text that you want here and hit save, and then that will add their eligibility. Now, again, for Medicare, it will automatically run. So all you guys have to do is come in here, click on the result to view it, and then click on the edit pencil to enter that they are eligible. On your non-Medicare, you guys will have to manually add it like I just did. So if you guys are the ones checking eligibility as well. So you'll just manually come in here, and then you can type that you talk to that payer source and that they are, eligible, et cetera, and hit save. Once you clear up those errors, then these will be green, and you will not have any of these red icons, which also produce work basket items too. So you guys would see that information. So that's it on a typical intake process, and then the rest, of course, then the clinician will go out there, do the admission, then they'll activate the patient. I'm going to go ahead and activate this patient because I do want to show you how you can add additional disciplines, because I don't know if you guys would do it or if this is going to be somebody that does it after the fact, but just in case, I do want to show you that process. Now, you can only add assessment services on 2 different orders in 2 different ways. You can only do it when you hit the schedule initial assessment visit at the top, and then you can, once the patient's activated and you have a 485, and you can actually do this with the resumption of care order too. If you hover over the action item menu icon next to that 485 or resumption of care, you're going to see add assessment service as an option. You click on that, and this will give you all of the available disciplines that are available to add assessment services to. So you just would add, we used our skilled nurse and PT from the referral and that schedule initial service. But if you needed to add those additional ones, you can add them here and then just adjust the requested date that they're actually going to go and then hit save. But you can only do that after they're activated. If you were to plot a 1-week one directly inside a 485, then that's not an assessment service. that means that's all you're going to go is a 1 week one. Now, if you plot them as assessment services, that gives you the ability to assign that visit to a clinician. You can have a scheduling note attached to that service. You can have a service note attached to that service, and it will not lock down your frequencies and durations inside the orders. If you were to plot something, any of the services that you plot directly in an order, once you assign it, it's to a clinician, it's going to lock it down, it's going to grade out, and you will not be able to add to that frequencies and durations for that discipline. It's going to lock it down if it's assigned, if there's a service note, a scheduling note, or any other transaction such as it's been verified. The only way to correct the frequency at that point is with an additional order, with a replaced discipline order. So make sure you plot them as assessment services anytime that they are going to add to that frequency and duration. That gives them an opportunity to go out there, assess the patient, determine the frequency durations, and then the clinicians or schedulers can come back and add to their frequencies and durations for the rest of the episode. Okay? So just be aware of that. Any questions so far? Did I not cover something that you guys need a task that you guys normally perform?
Okay. Oh, I have a question. When you're in the payer section and when you're verifying the eligibility, you know that one box where you said you can write a little note in? If you write a note in there, where does it go after you write your note? Like if you wanted to review it? Or is there
it's only going to be here. JP, that doesn't pull to any kind of report. Is it an eligibility report or anything?
Because I know when we add private insurances and we make a note for the schedulers, I was just wondering if there's a way to view it for them to be able to see it somewhere.
No, they would see it here is the only place that I'm aware of that they would see that information there. Now, there is scheduling notes from the patient calendar, and it works just like the unread messages here. You can click on the send message here and select who you want to send that information to. And then, then that information, then they could view this up in their unread messages.
Okay. All right, then, thank you.
If you guys, these may be helpful for intake also, is what we call scheduling notes. So if you, come into the patient's calendar and there's some additional information you want them to know, like patient won't be discharged until noon, and you want to kind of give them a little bit of a heads up, you can click on that visit and choose Add Note. This isn't a service note, this is just a scheduling note. And you can just choose, and we can add different note type labels in the settings if you guys needed to, but just choose general, and then write any important information here. And then just hit save. So what happens is that visit when the clinician logs in, they'll have that visit on the let's see, 4-5. It's this one here. So they'll see this little note to the right of their visit, and they'll click on that and they'll see, oh, okay, so I won't be able to go out this morning. I'll wait until after lunch. So any kind of scheduling note or something that's important for that visit, it's really helpful to use these scheduling notes here.
We have a question.
Hi, Brendan.
Sure.
It's Delia. Can you show us how to upload a document, like if we were uploading the H&P?
Yeah, you would just click on, let me go to this, back to this test admission. Just choose upload document. When you hit choose file, it's going to bring you, sorry, this is my personal stuff, hold on. Let me get to care efficient. Let me just create a little test document real fast so I can show you. Okay, so it'll bring up the little file window, and you would find the location of where you have that document. It could be a PDF or a Word document or whatever. You would just click on that document and hit open, and then you'll end up seeing the name of that document right here. So that shows you that you have it there. And again, like I said, I typically recommend just leaving this at Encounter. For the document type, just choose whatever label is appropriate. There's also an other option, and you can type in, you know, whatever you want here. And then just hit upload and close. Oops. You do have to hit, like I said, no action needed is the most common one here. Then just hit upload and close. And then you're going to end up seeing that. And you can add as many documents as you need to, of course. And then just to view that document, if it's a PDF, and it depends on your browser settings, it'll either download it. If it's a PDF and your browser's set to automatically open PDFs, then when they click on that, it'll just open that up in a new window. So depends on the type of document. If it's an image, and again, it's going to depend on your browser settings, if it would open up automatically. Otherwise, it may download it, and you guys would just have to go down there and open it up from there.
Okay, we have a few more questions.
Brendan, on the
Okay.
episode timing for PDGM, I noticed on the initial referral, they put it in, but after they get the eligibility report, if we find out it's a late episode, how does intake change it at that point?
Somebody had us hold music. So as far as early or late, that's going to be under the actual OASIS question. So when they do their start of care of OASIS, that's going to have that, you know, is this an early or late episode? And that would have to be corrected either if the service note, the OASIS integrated assessment is still in an incomplete status, then that clinician would be able to just edit the note and correct that there. Otherwise, after that OASIS or service note has been marked as complete, your OASIS will be under here, under the orders tab, and somebody will be able to go into that OASIS and correct if it's an early or late episode in there. So that's for the early or late question. Now, if the admission source, admission type needed to be corrected, which is, you know, something that may happen as well, that's under the profile tab. You just come over here under the current encounter information and choose edit, and then they can answer the admission source, admission type. So you have a couple of times, several times, 3 different times really that you can actually correct this. You can correct it, you know, once it's going to pull to this tab from when you put it in on the referral. So after that, you would just, if it's incorrect, you can come here and enter that information. But or just leave it blank. When the clinician actually goes to activate the patient, this is basically the same exact screen they're going to see. So they're going to have the verbal start of care. If there was a requested start of care date, it's going to pull here as well, but they can correct it and they edit it to be correct. And when they're activating, they also have the opportunity to choose if it's the admission source, admission type right here. So they'll have the opportunity to answer it, you know, when you're putting in their referral, when they're activating the patient, and then they can adjust it at any time afterwards just by coming to the Profile tab as well.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Going back to uploading the documents, can you, when you go back and you chose, with choosing your document, can you choose more than one document at a time? If you have 4 documents to upload, or do you have to upload each one individually?
You have this link right here that says upload and add more. So after you fix your, get your first file, then you can hit upload and add more, and then it's going to give you this exact same window, and it's going to say no file chosen here, and then you're going to go through that same process, hit choose file, and then you're going to have the option to answer, get the different labels for it.
So you pretty much just do it one at a time.
Well, yeah, but you won't. But it'll just keep giving you this window over and over again. Yeah, you can't just put a checkbox next to like 4 files and then hit upload. It won't let you do that. You'll just have to come here and hit upload and add more.
And then on that document type, when you push the drop-down arrow, are we able to add different labels to what's there?
Yes, you guys can. It's in the settings, or whoever has access to the settings. I think it's, whoops, I didn't mean to click on that. It's under, right here, under document type, under general support tables. So you guys can add as many document types or edit them as you need to.
Okay, perfect.
So yeah, those labels are no problem. Most of those drop-down lists are going to be,
Can you enlarge your screen a little bit? I don't know if they're having a hard time. My eyes are aged. I can barely see your screen. I don't know if you can enlarge it or if it's maybe just my screen. Are you guys having a hard time seeing his screen at all?
That's better now.
Yes, it is better.
Yeah, because I know that they had mentioned that before. Molly had mentioned that they're having a hard time seeing. So, okay, thank you.
I'm not sure if web. Oh, no problem.
Good.
I'm sure if WebEx is doing
when you hit layout in the upper right-hand corner and take off all the participants there, it'll make the screen bigger.
Oh yeah, that'd be on your side because that's not on my end. Mine's all in a pop-up box. I don't know if you can see it, but mine's in a pop-up window I've got on another monitor. So.
Yeah. So if you're viewing this in a conference room or from home, if you click layout in the upper right-hand corner, you can go to full screen. It'll take the pictures off the top and make it full screen.
One more question in here.
Hi, can you change this Medicare patient into an insurance patient and show us how to put in the authorization?
Yeah, I can do that. And AJ is going to go over authorizations as well with you guys. Let's see here. Do you know if any of these require auth, or do you guys have them set up for
Anthem Blue Cross.
I'll do that. Again, your start date needs to be at least prior to the first billable visit. You'll choose the bill to address, and this is where you'll enter the policy number for that patient. And again, if it's an accident-related cause, you guys can enter that information and then hit save. So you enter your payers the same way. So for authorizations, you're going to see under the auth column, it won't say NA. It'll have a little bubble here. If it's missing, it'll be red. If it's everything's current, it'll be green with a little checkbox in there. Click on that, and it'll take you to the authorizations tab. And then from here, you're going to choose Add Authorization. Yes, this is being recorded. You're going to choose for which service category you're going to enter that authorization. So we'll pick skilled nursing here. You'll enter that authorization number here. Sometimes you don't actually get authorization numbers from these payers if they don't have, this field is required. So if they don't give you a specific number, you guys may have to just enter 000 or something in there, because that is a required field. So you're going to choose your start date for your auth. And then the end date. So even if it's, even though we have 60-day episodes, if they gave you off for 6 months, you can enter it for that entire time. And then you'll enter the authorized number of hours or units here. And then you're going to enter authorized by. If you have more auth for other disciplines that you guys want to enter, you can just hit Save and Add. It'll pop up the same window. And then you can just pick the other disciplines. Again, when you're on your last discipline, make sure you hit Save and Close. Okay, and then you're going to see that auth displayed here. If you need to make edits to that, you could click that Edit button and come back in here and adjust that if it was entered incorrectly. And that's how you enter auth. And then there is, if you had a faxed auth document or something you guys printed off from online where you verified it online, you can, again, scan that into your computer, and then this works just like the Documents tab. You can click Upload Document, choose File, find the file, and then you can upload and close that information and have that available directly on the Authorizations tab.
Go ahead, Kat.
I have a question. When you're adding an authorization, if there's more than one discipline on that authorization number, does it allow you to add all the disciplines, including in that number of dates?
Yeah, it's going to give you it's going to show up here as separate authorizations for each service category. And it may or may not have the same number. You would have to enter that information in again, though. So if you were to pick PT this time, you'd still have to manually type that. If it's the same exact auth number and same time period, you'd have to just enter that information in here for each one. So if I had additional information or additional service categories that I needed to enter that auth, I would just hit Save and Add, and it just brings this up again, and then you can move to your next category, service category, and enter that information. Well, it does carry that number over. If you do it that way, it will carry that number and start and end date over automatically.
Thank you.
And then you're going to see all of your authorization here. Now, any other questions on that?
We're good, thank you.
For the other where insured for the payers that say insured info is required, you're also going to see this insured column, and you can click on that little icon, and this is where you're going to add the insured info. So if it's self, you can choose self. If it's the spouse, a parent, whatever, you would choose that information. Now, if you choose self, it will pull a lot of the information over automatically. You can enter the group name and group number here. And then on the insured info, you enter that information here as well, that address, etc. And now, again, if there's anything missing, it will tell you on that profile tab when you're inside the patient payer information. Just make sure you guys clear all of that up. So again, for those insurance companies other than Medicare, you would have to just manually come in here and add their eligibility. Once everything's cleared up, it gets rid of all of those errors, and you're done. You can come back here and see everything's green. Any other questions?
I don't have a question. I just want to clarify something. When we were first adding the referral on that first page,
This one here?
yeah, and the requested start of care date, that carries over to the OASIS, right? So we only use that if it was like a physician's ordered start of care?
Yeah, you can actually leave this blank if you don't have an actual physician requested start of care date. You could leave this blank when they it will carry over, but it can be edited anywhere along the way. All the way until you transmit that OASIS, and even technically after that. But this will carry over, yeah.
Okay. So most of the time we're going to leave it blank. Then
Yeah. Yeah, and so when you do the schedule initial services, it won't have a date there because it doesn't know what date you might want to do. So that'd be the only difference. If you were to leave this blank when you schedule initial services, you just have to type in what day you want them to go.
Brendan, this is Jamie. Hi.
Yeah. Hi.
Can you please show the team, because we currently use what we call an intake spreadsheet where we keep track of where everybody is as far as patients, like where they are in the status of us accepting them. So when Craig Jones was on the other day, he showed us what the spreadsheet looks like that's in Care Efficient, and we hope to use Care Efficient's spreadsheet and not continue with our own. Yeah, this is where he went. I think was it patient schedules, or if you could show, and how you sort it by like pending, or, okay, you know what I'm talking about. Thanks.
Well, that's going to be actually under patient schedules, I believe, is the one you're looking for.
Yeah, I think it is too, and then you change the status to pending and.
You can filter into anything you want for if you're tracking your pending patients. For those that are hospitalized and on hold, you could track those by switching to the hold. If you're only interested in active or all. And then again, it's going to default under the service status to the unassigned visits. So for scheduling, they would see all of the unassigned visits, and they can actually go straight to that calendar and get those assigned. But you can also filter to the assigned, unverified, and verified services if you needed to look at those. Of course, your to and from dates, you can look for specific people here. But yeah, this is where you're going to do a lot of that tracking. And of course, just even under your patient encounter screen, you're going to get a lot of that information here as far as statuses. So you can default this to, or when you first come here, it's going to always default to, or not always, it's going to default to active, hold, and pending patients, because those are the ones you're usually more concerned with. But you can go filter this to your hold patients, your pending patients, so that you can see which ones you guys are tracking, in that way. Now, anytime you make changes to any of these filters up here, there is a little lock over here to the right. If you click that, it will just remember your filters. And then, of course, you can still change them back to anything else and relock them if you needed to. But so there's several different ways. I think what you're looking at mostly is this patient schedule link.
So you can filter that by the date then? If we in intake want to look at all the charts that are for tomorrow, if you click on admit date, will that filter them for all the charts that are scheduled to be admitted for the next day?
That's a good question. I've never actually done that. JP, do you know the answer to that? 4 or 5 is the only one showing up.
That patient wasn't scheduled. That patient was still pending. They just weren't activated. So it wasn't that Dolly Parton was scheduled for tomorrow. It's just that she wasn't activated. There was no schedule yet.
Go, Kathy.
Yeah, I'm not sure why we put in, when we put in 4-5 to 4-6, I'm not sure why it pulled down to just that one patient. That's kind of why I was asking JP, but I think he's probably going to be calling back in and see if he has the answer to that, because I'm not sure what these dates are filtering it for.
Okay, so another question. That spreadsheet is only showing us the ones that have been initially started from the intake department. That's not showing us potential start cares for the next day that have not been partially entered.
Brandon, sorry about that. I went to hit the unmute button and I hit the disconnect button. Sorry.
Oh, no, not a problem at all.
Yeah. So no, I don't think we do, because we don't have what's going to be admitted for tomorrow. So I'm trying to think, because if you look at assigned visits, but still it has an admit date, it doesn't have a service date there. So wait, so actually if you put tomorrow's date in and hit assigned, you would see who had visits assigned for tomorrow.
I guess, JP, my question is, the way that we use our spreadsheet now is we look at all the charts that need to be prepared for tomorrow. Some of them might have been typed up but not have the insurance done. You know, some of them need orders entered, whatever. So is this spreadsheet, are we able to sort this spreadsheet for the date so we can all work as a team and look at tomorrow and see what needs to be completed for
that's what I'm trying to figure out, how to do it for tomorrow. I mean, you can export it and work in different ways. I'm trying to think. So, but that's why. So if you had something like, what is today? So like, Brendan, can you assign something? Is there, well, okay, so like you have stuff assigned for a service date of 4/10. So see if you do anything, oh, that's a census date though. So we need a filter by the service date. Oh, you were back in the encounter. I was on that, the one where you were on with the scheduling detail.
I was oh, this patient's already activated anyway. So under the scheduling detail listing.
No, I'm sorry, it's patient schedule, not schedule detail. So see, you have a service date. But wait a minute, now the service date went away. So go back a minute, because you had something with the service date. What did you just have with the service date?
These are admit dates.
I know, you had one with the service date. I just saw it on the screen, and my screen's moving a lot slower. So go back. Was it the schedule detail listing?
That'll have the service date, yeah. But this doesn't tell them the status. Well, hold on, maybe if we export it.
That's what I'm trying to see what.
See, it doesn't tell you the patient status, if the patient's in a pending status, so you can't filter it to.
So that's what I need, is something. So we either need to put the service date on the, and this is the schedule detail listing. So let's go back. Is what I want to do, I think, is actually on the patient schedule. Well, yeah, but is what I want to be able to do. See, I don't have a service date on here, but we could easily put a service date column out here, and then is what you would want to do is put tomorrow's date and put their status of pending. Wouldn't matter if it's assigned or not, because even if it's assigned, I don't have a way to get to the future visits. But, I mean, that's what we could do, Brendan, is actually just add the service date here, don't you think? and then if they put tomorrow's date, they could see the pending patients that are assigned for tomorrow, because you'd go to assigned and you would see their service date for like 4/6 or 4/10. That's what we need on the patient schedule. We just need to be able, I'm trying to think.
But JP, what does assigned mean? Because we don't have them assigned yet. We're still working on getting information.
They're
Sometimes
assigned
they
a
never
visit.
get
No,
to
you have to
assign.
have the visit assigned, right?
These insurance.
Okay, can I think the question is not this. I think the question is, somebody has started a new referral and they have not finished it. It is incomplete, meaning they haven't done insurance or,
Can we make that?
I don't think it's, because if it's pending, it just means it's not activated and they may have not scheduled the initial assessment. The actual referral that they have, or what they call typed, they haven't finished entering all of the fields or they haven't run the insurance. Is that the question, education room?
Or sometimes maybe we need an order clarification.
Order hasn't come.
They haven't finished because they're waiting for order clarification, so they maybe.
For HMP.
So that's under your incomplete referrals then. You would have that under incomplete referrals.
Well, this is going to show you referrals that you've started but you haven't finished addressing for whatever reason. So if you get through the entire referral process, then it's going to fall out of this. They won't see it anymore.
Right.
So if it's just patient information, all that stuff's going to be work basket items saying that you're missing different things, authorization, you're missing, I mean, those are a ton of other things that you could be looking at. Well, where would it be? I mean, there's incomplete referral here.
And then they have activate patients.
I think that this, the intake supervisor is here and she is saying that this is a offline maybe conversation of what exactly they're looking for, since we're right at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
Okay. So, and again, if you send us a copy of the report that you're working with, I'm sure that we can find something in here that if it's missing that we can find, because I mean, all the data is here. We just need to find out exactly, and a lot of times we just have to sometimes just look at the report that you're looking at and trying to get to, and whether even if it's just that spreadsheet and how you're filtering it to get that information, but we can figure that out as well.
Yeah. And WorkBasket's going to show you a lot of like the patient payer data incomplete. So if you are missing, if there's any errors on the payer tab at all, you're going to get that information in here. So if you didn't get your eligibility in there yet, you didn't get authorizations in there yet, any of that information, if it's incomplete, it's going to show up in here. And then you guys just click on the pencils. It takes you straight to that patient payer tab. So you can enter all that information. All right. Any other questions? Or, I mean, if you guys do have any other questions later, just reach out to us.
We get the blue bubbles, right?
You can ask your question. I unmuted you.
How do I know it's done?
That's the guy I unmuted.
Oh, hi, how do we know it's, complete? Like, is there, like, on the this dashboard, can we see it's complete?
Green, green, green.
Oh, greens? Like, what are we looking for to know it's complete? As a quick reference.
That'd be WorkBasket. You won't see that the stuff that is taken care of, you're not going to see, but the stuff that is not taken care of, you're going to have WorkBasket items for that.
So if there's WorkBasket items highlighted in yellow, it's not done yet?
If it's in the WorkBasket, it is not done at all. That means as up here in the top under these actions, that means you have to complete an action before it'll be removed from here, or maybe it gets changed to a different status depending on what's going on. If it's an order or something, you're going to see that it's been saved. But once it goes to approved, you're going to see it's approved, but it needs to be sent, things like that. So until things are completely completed, this work basket's going to drive everything that you guys have to have done for, you know, those encounters based off the rules and stuff we had.
So if it's all done, it won't be highlighted yellow?
Now, you're talking yellow like over here where these are red right now?
The work basket on the upper right-hand corner where it says you have work basket items, if the chart is.
Oh, no, it's always going to look like that. It doesn't change colors or anything. You're always going to see it looking like that. It's always going to say you have work basket items. And so then when you come in here, you'll see that information. Until you complete that action to get it out of here, it's going to stay here.
Okay, so
And then
I'm
you
sorry.
can
Where does
export
it say
these and everything else.
Where does it say it's done then? Like when you're done, where does it say you're done?
It will be removed from here when it's done. It doesn't say done. It just won't be in here anymore. The only way to tell that it's done and complete is to go to those encounters and look at the tabs and see that, you know, that information. So if it's done, it's not in your work basket. If it's not done, it's in your work basket. So you won't see those ones that are taken care of anymore.
So like where it says description, that'll be gone?
Yeah, once like this patient payer data incomplete. Once you go to this once you go click on that pencil, you come here, you correct that information, then now the work basket's on a 6-minute cycle. So you may have just taken care of it and then went right back to your work basket. But after 6 minutes or less, everything that's been taken care of will no longer be in your work basket anymore.
Work basket is more of a complex thing that we don't have turned on right now. So you will get more training and understanding of work basket at another time.
Okay. Any other questions? If you do have any additional questions about the intake process, feel free to reach out to me and I'll follow up with that. But we'll just go from there.
Okay.
So I guess I'll let you guys go for today, and then I'll just wait to hear back from you. And if you have any questions, we'll get those answered for you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Tree. All right. Thanks, Brendan.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
You're welcome. Bye.